IKEA has always been known for its affordable furniture, but I think they've been nailing it lately with pieces that look like they can belong in a designer showroom. They're also bringing in loads of color this year, both in the decor and furnishings, which is quite a refreshing take. So, if you're looking to elevate your space on a budget, stick around because these IKEA finds will have you wondering why you'll pay more anywhere else. First up is the Hakpopel decorative bowl. Now, these bowls are inspired by Swedish lakes. No surprise there as IKEA is a Swedish brand. And I love how they've used all these fluid shapes in the glasswork, which makes it look like the water ripples you'd see over a lake. Colored glassware has just been so popular for the past year or so, but the fluid shape is something you'd normally see in an expensive store. I really think that IKEA has hit the nail on the head here, as it looks like the stuff that will be selling for $100 a piece, but they're selling these for only $15 to $20 US. The blue one is a perfect pop of color, but there's also the golden tan color that is more subdued, something a little funky and fun for a console or coffee table, or perhaps even as a fruit bowl. I don't know if you've ever gone shopping for frames, but finding ones that are decent quality but also affordable is actually really hard. Now, IKEA has a lot of great options here, but one that caught my attention recently is the Sana head frames. These are shadow box frames, but you have the option to put the cover either in front, which is useful if you want to frame 3D objects, or at the back, which gives you that beautiful 3D shadow effects. They come in 6 colors: black, white, 3 wood tones, and red, which are all quite pretty. They've also made sure that the mat is acid free, so it won't turn yellow over time, which is a huge bonus. Keeping with the theme of colorful products, IKEA has recently launched the Bondkrets and Ekrar coat stands in some bold colors. I quite like the lilac and the dark yellow, and I think that they both can be used as a bold pop of color in the corner of a room or in a hallway. The Bondkrets is $50 and the Ekrar is only $20, so they're really good value. First up on lighting is the Di Carloca pendant lamp. I've actually been quite impressed with a lot of the light fixtures that IKEA has come out with this year, especially this one. It is definitely a piece that could pass for an expensive mid-century design, but it's only $69.99. What is really nice about this one is that they've used plywood with an oak veneer, so you can actually see the texture rather than it just being a print. Pair this with a nice warm light and you can see the beautiful glow coming out from the sides. And fun fact, this lamp was actually first introduced in IKEA's catalog in 1964 and was called the Tivoli. I don't know about you, but if something has been around for that long and still looks this good, I'd call that timeless. The Rorqual is quite an interesting take that gives off that vintage vibe, with the stripe detailing that somewhat reminds me of the Murano glass lamps. But of course, at this price, it is not handmade. I think that it is a great option for a diffuse decorative light, especially if you're on a budget, as it's only $22. Personally, I like it better with a warmer light rather than a cool one, but that is up to you to decide. What is best is that it is a plug-in, so this can be a fantastic option if you're renting or can't be bothered to call an electrician. Now this one is for all you industrial lovers out there. It is inspired by old enamel industrial lamps, so it's got that vintage feeling but with a shiny modern twist. As I was saying, IKEA is bringing in heaps more color this year, and the green-gray version of this lamp with brass details is a great example of one of their more subdued colorful pieces. It is not too overbearing, so it's a nice way to add color to a mainly neutral room. I think it would work really well as a task lamp next to an armchair to make a reading nook. I've got one myself. One little detail that I was really impressed with is that you can hide access cable around the base, which is a pleasant surprise because most floor lamps I have just come with a jumbled cable mess. Continuing on with the whole thing that IKEA is adding in more color, I've noticed that this season they've come out with a few new iterations of their classics in bolder colors. For example, their classic Kallax shelf. They've just released one in a dark glossy green finish, which I love. It is a very forest-inspired, earthy green, and I think the finish looks nicer than the basic white Kallax shelves. I'll personally advise against using too much of the box insert, because if closed storage is what you need, then a unit with doors and drawers will look much better than an open shelving like this. They've also recently released their famous mom bed frame in a cobalt blue color. This frame is already a classic as it has a clean silhouette and still has its super handy rollout storage drawers underneath. If you think more about what makes a space look expensive and luxurious, you'll realize that a big factor is how clean and organized everything is. So, being able to hide your clutter in a piece like this can definitely make your space look much nicer. Another classic piece they've come out with in color is a hemness daybed. This one is really bold. They've made it in bright sunshine yellow, which I think works really well because the hemness is kind of IKEA's take on more traditionally styled furniture. Sunshine yellow is definitely a bit more tricky to style, but I think this piece could work really well in a kid's room or perhaps in a more traditional space where it would slot right in. The daybed is also a really versatile piece with pull-out storage and can extend into a double bed for guests. You're probably realizing that right now in interior design there's this shift away from the very neutral color palette that we've been seeing for the past decade. Many people are being more adventurous. There's an increasing trend in colorful decor with bold shapes and colors as many people want something more visually interesting. So here's a quick tip. If there's a specific color you like or are looking to add into your space, try searching IKEA's products by color. Here, for example, I've done a yellow search and I've gotten a whole list of items available in yellow. This is very useful if you want to get a quick glance on what is available in a specific color. Okay, now back to the products. The blue Krillbo chairs are another example of IKEA bringing in color this season, but I think the dark beige can fit really well in a lot of spaces. I personally like the curved backrest. Little details like this are really what elevate pieces rather than if they just had flat backs. Now, I don't really like the way IKEA styled it on the product page with a cheap looking table, but if you got a nicer timber table, you definitely could pull off a high-end look. Okay, this piece is probably one of the few in this video that isn't in a bold color, but classic pieces in oak always look high-end. IKEA has marketed this piece as a side table, but if you actually look at their product images, you realize that in a lot of them they've combined two of these together to create a low storage area behind a sofa. Or they've even wrapped them around the back and corner of a sofa to create this really cool integrated piece that is a side table and a storage unit. I think that this is quite a unique look that you could do in your own home, instead of going the traditional route and putting something like this against a wall. And it's also quite smart if you want to cover up the back side of your sofa, or if you have one of those entryways that open up directly into a living room. You can use this piece as a console table and clearly divide the two spaces. Chrome is coming back into fashion, so I wasn't surprised to see IKEA bring out this side table with a chrome-plated steel frame. If you're familiar with designer Marcel Breuer, you may have noticed that this side table is a dupe for the famous Laccio table designed in 1924. The Laccio table is part of a set of nesting tables which IKEA hasn't done here, as they've added a second lower shelf, but it's still an interesting take on the famous design. And it obviously can look high-end, as the original Laccio table is a classic that is more than 10 times the price. The Hatasen is another side table, but it has a more sleek contemporary look. It definitely leans more casual, but I think it has potential if you style it well, and it comes in many color options which gives you that flexibility. What I really like about this is the handle at the end, which makes it really easy to move around, a perfect solution for small spaces. Regardless, this piece is only $24.99 US, which I think is quite a steal. Another piece in that matte black powder coated steel look is the Mossgion cabinet. Again, this one has a lot of potential mainly because of this really interesting reeded glass they've used on the doors here. I like how light can sprinkle into the cabinet, but it is not totally transparent, which is good if your things aren't perfectly organized. Also, the little details here like the top that has a tray-like edge is smart, as you can style plants and other knickknacks on top without worrying they will fall off, although it may be more of a hassle to clean. This is another one for all mid-century modern lovers out there. It's an updated version of IKEA's first ever flat pack products, the Lovette table. For this, the classic brown version is really versatile, but it does also come in really bright neon colors like fluoro green, orange, and blue. They can make for an interesting accent piece depending on your color scheme. I really like the distinctive grain pattern on this piece and also the little details like the brass capped feet. And again, it's not a particularly expensive piece. It is selling for $89.99 US at the moment. Another thing that IKEA is finally starting to catch on to is the fact that people want more options to customize their flat packs with high-end looking doors. And with all the companies popping up everywhere with customizable cabinet fronts for IKEA products, it is no surprise that IKEA is finally stepping up their game with fronts like the Tonstad doors for the PAX wardrobe. I quite like these as even though they are particle board, they're finished with an oak or walnut veneer and clear acrylic lacquer, which makes them look quite nice. As is, the whole PAX line is quite simple, and you can definitely tell that it is a flat pack IKEA product. But if you put a pair of Tonstad doors on, it starts to look a lot more like custom cabinetry. The version with the glass panels is about $180 US, and the solid design is around $160, and it comes in two colors, either brown or stained oak, so you have quite a good selection. Okay, I know that storage boxes and organizers may not sound glamorous, but these Viesland boxes from IKEA are so sleek. They're like a grown-up version of Tupperware for your vanity, but they actually look good. I really like how IKEA has used this dark grey semi-transparent plastic, which is just opaque enough to make everything look nice and neat, but not so dark that you can't find anything. And they're quite cheap. I think the organizers start at around $4 US, and the most expensive set is $40.99 US. So honestly, they're quite the bargain. And I was saying before, one of the secrets to a high-end looking space is getting it clean and organized. Most people probably wouldn't talk about bins in a video about products that look high-end, but an ugly bin is definitely going to stick out in a place that is well curated. You want to either hide a bin or get something that looks quite nice so you can leave them outside without it being an eyesore. This is where I think the Damang bins come in. I like the curved fluted edges of these bins and how they're quite a narrow design, so they'll fit well under a cabinet storage in your kitchen or laundry. And they're also stackable if you did want to get them more as a storage bin than an actual bin, which is quite handy. This one may not seem like a high-end product, but plastic shoe trays are very useful and the IKEA one is really good quality. The plastic is super thick. It is meant to go under the Greg shoe rack, but there's so many creative uses for it. It can be used as a plant tray, as a tray for cat litter box, or dog food, or under the kitchen sink as an organizing tray. I do wish that it come in more colors, but the yellow is a good start. And there you have it, all of the new IKEA products that look high-end. Let me know what you think of this direction IKEA is taking. Do you like the resurgence of retro pieces and colorful objects? If you enjoyed this video, check out my previous video on IKEA products that look expensive, and this video on IKEA products for small spaces. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.